What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. So on today's show, we're going to do a lot of talk about the draft and specifically the safety position for topics 2 and 3. But for topic 1, this is a potential preview to how Miami is going to approach the draft. So as you know, our head coach and GM are both Packers guys. And the Packers have been notorious up until last year for doing one thing and one thing only, and that's not drafting receivers in the first round. They've had awesome receivers. They have always found we can get good value later in the draft. And they've done it. They've done it successfully since Brett Favre's administration all the way to now. They found a way to get later round receivers who ends up being very productive. Last year, they got their first receiver in the first round. I don't know if it's ever, but definitely in my lifetime. So what they've typically done is gone premium position first. Offensive line, defensive line, quarterback, right? And then later they do skill positions. That's kind of how they've handled their stuff. Now I know Coach Hafley and GM Selly have been like, hey, we're not the Packers, we're Miami, but that is their roots. You don't just unroot yourself. Like, yes, you've moved, but you have some of those same things with you. So there's speculation that if that trend holds true for Miami, the first round will be basically any position other than wide receiver. So it could be 2 defensive linemen, 2 offensive linemen, cornerback, D line, like any combination of premium person other than a wide receiver. If that's the case, then that will mean that we're not drafting any of these receivers in the first round. And I know there's some smoke around Casey Concepcion, who's been with Miami a couple times, and we seem to be high on him. Y'all know I am personally high on KC, but I see him going anywhere from mid first round to mid second round. There's a big discrepancy in where he can land. I think part of the issue for his draft stock is that he's not the biggest guy in the world. And I think teams are a little bit concerned that, hey, smaller guy in the league, you're basically destined to be a slot corner. Do we want to draft a slot corner in the first round? It's a reasonable question. Typically, you draft an outside corner in the first round. You get slot guys later. So based on his position played, his production, for sure, should be first round pick. How he produced his entire time in college, for sure. Size, not so much. But Miami also has a ton of needs, I believe, at premium positions, right? Safety, corner, D-line, O-line. All positions of need. Now, is wide receiver? Yes, it is. We have 11 picks, though. I do think the top, like 2 or 3 receivers, yeah, I do think are a notch above. Sure. But we've seen Puka Nacua, I believe, was a 5th round pick out of BYU. And he's what, the 3rd best receiver in the league? 4th? Like where you want to, he's top 4, maybe not 4. And BYU is not some prolific passing team like that anyway. So the fact that you can get a guy that caliber there and he is what he is. Now, Jefferson and Chase are first round picks. We get that, right? So sometimes you do spend a premium to get those guys. But you can get really good receiver play later. AJ Brown is a 2nd round pick. I think 3 or 4 receivers got taken before him, and he's better than all those people now. So if that trend holds true, all this Mekhi Lemon to Miami's talk, probably not happening. Denzel Boston at pick 30, probably not happening. Now, they could always buck the trend. Maybe Sully is like, hey, he was the assistant GM over there. So maybe he wanted to get a receiver early, and then the GM Gutekunst was like, no, I'm kidding. I want to get this linebacker instead. So maybe he was being overruled in the room. It's possible they just kind of fell in line with what the people above them were doing. And if they want to go a completely different way, we're going to find out in this draft. But I think the idea of picking a receiver later in this draft and getting extra premium people early makes sense to me. Unless you have a receiver graded like as your 8th or 10th best player and they're there at 30, then it's like, all right, man, like we got a 20 pick value right now. We can't just let this slide. But in general, I think there's plenty of other positions we need help with. And I would not be shocked at all if at the day 1 of the draft, there's no new receiver on the Dolphins. So going into this year, it seems like Dante Trader Jr. is going to be one of our starting safeties, most likely our free safety, which is awesome because he was a 5th round pick last year that hit well enough that I think he'll get a chance to prove his worth as a starter. We'll see if he wins out in camp. You can always lose your job, right? It's football. But I do think we're penciling him in as one of the safeties. We do not have a second safety, and we for sure don't have two other corners, right? So I think safety with the ability to cover is something that Miami will covet, but also a just strong safety in general, a box safety, if you want to call him that, who plays closer to the line of scrimmage. This is where Kyle Hamilton is probably the best at that now, although he's also good in coverage, but he's really good near the line of scrimmage at blitzing, at diagnosing runs, and doing all that kind of stuff, right? So one of the people that we were visiting with is Toledo safety Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, who you have probably seen if you watch the combine. Them just kind of like his upside is not as high as Nick Emmanuel was, who was similar in dimension, actually heavier, but also faster. Like Emmanuel is like the biggest, strongest, and fastest safety at the same time, and played at a SEC school. I was like, all right, dude, how many more checks do you need? Toledo, competition level that is questionable, but Emmanuel is. I've seen him anywhere from 6'3" to 6'4". So I'm guessing he's somewhere between those two. And this is like combine official. So let's say he's 6'3" and a half. He's 200 pounds. That is to me is a little light for as tall as he is, but a 6'3" safety sounds awesome on his face, right? Very rangy. He's good at forcing fumbles. He's a good ball hawk, but his best trait is him near the box. He's very good at tackling. He's very good at sifting through the trash, which is something they say. He's good at getting off blocks. He's not top end super fast. Ran a 4.5 and a 40. 4.5 in the NFL now for a skill position is basically like molasses. like you're running in slow motion. So he's not a giant burner, which probably makes sense why he's better close to the box, because if you make me go 40 yards that way, I don't know what receiver runs 4.5 now. Like what legit receiver. There are tight ends that run sub 4.5s now. So I don't expect them to be down the field covering anybody well. Like if you hit them with a little stutter and go, shit, it's over, right? But within the box, any like those little curl routes tight ends run, those little option routes, little stop routes, or just get down the line and make tackles, he's built for that. I mean, he's got all the size and range to do it. He's already physical in college. I think he'll end up putting on 10 to 15 more pounds. 200 pounds at 6'3" and a half, I think is actually kind of light for his safety. It's actually built more like a corner, but he doesn't have corner speed, which means I'm guessing they're going to bulk him up a little bit. Like, hey, if you're going to be playing in the box, you be going against 340-pound offensive linemen. Can't run in there 200 pounds. Like, you're getting dish ragged, all right? You run in, you're going to be flying the other way. Even if you are strong, you're not stronger than those people are. So I think he's strong enough in the run to warrant drafting him to be a run-stopping safety, box safety, cover within the zone, a box concept. But he isn't strong enough to just be like, I'm going to overpower people like off day one. He needs to put some size on. I think his floor, from what I'm reading, is like day 2, which is a second-round type pick. We have a second-round pick, but he's visited with a lot of other teams, and I think safety for a lot of teams is not super strong. Like, I don't think there's more than 6 to 8 good safeties in the league at this point. There are a lot of people that play safety, but impactful game, we need a game plan for you safeties. I don't think there's a lot of them now. I don't know if it's because teams are just playing more nickel and it's just more corners on the field, or if everyone plays a cover 2, so they're just so far back that the safety doesn't have as much impact as they normally do. But very rarely am I watching a game like, man, that safety is really impacting the game. Like, I don't see it that much. Y'all know I'm a big Jalen Petrie fan. I think, of course, Kyle Hamilton is the best. But I think in general, I don't think there's like, there may be up to 10 if I just like sat and did a team by team evaluation, but it's 30 teams, 32 teams. So it's like, it's not, there's way more really good corners than I think there are really good safeties. So I think a number of teams are like, if he can be kind of what Emmanuel was last year, where he came in and he changed the way Seattle played defense. Like, hard stop. He changed the way they play defense because he's a guy that we don't have to worry about where he is on the field. We can just put you deep, put you short, put you on receiver, put you on linebacker, put you on tight end, and it just felt like he's good either where he goes. And that versatility is tremendous. If we can have Emmanuel down the box, basically like to stop the run, but then like a running back flares out of the backfield and he could just go cover running back on the fly and actually do a good job, dude, you can do whatever you want with a player like that. It's a really awesome situation. I want to get into the second topic, the third topic in a second, but if we were to acquire Emmanuel and then the next topic, AJ Haulcy, To me, they actually kind of fit like babyish versions of Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. Again, that's like the highest bar of what these two guys could be. Like McNeil-Warren's ceiling is, I guess, a version of Cam Chancellor. Cam Chancellor was that big dude. I don't think he can put on that much weight, but Cam was taking people out. If you haven't seen Cam Chancellor film recently, go turn the tape on. He was taking people out. All right? People didn't want to run across the middle. They didn't want to run 15 yards deep. They was getting hit. I think these two have the size to develop into what those guys are. Now, those guys were, tremendous athletes. Like Earl Thomas was a All-American at Texas. There's like a lot of things going on there. But if you're trying to rebuild what that was, two super versatile, super hard-hitting, ball hawk, flying around safeties, it changes how you play defense because those guys can blitz, they can play deep. I think if at pick 30 he's available and we haven't taken, let's say Caleb Downs falls to us at 11 and they decide they need safety critically, you can draft Caleb there. But if you don't think there's a big gap between McNeil and Caleb and you think he'll still be there at 30, then I think this would be more than a steal at the pick. I would almost slot him day one as the other safety if we brought him in. But it's still early, and he's met with a bunch of other teams. So it's not like he's a diamond in the rough that no one knows about. Like he's somebody that people are watching, and we'll see how much we really like him. The other safety I think Miami is maybe looking at, looking at a little bit later is AJ Haulcy, who played safety at LSU. Y'all know SEC, that's what I do, right? And he's only 5'11" height-wise, but 220. Like, he is a tank. That's why I mentioned Earl Thomas thing earlier. I was foreshadowing a little bit, but I've actually met Earl Thomas in real life. When I met him, I thought he was a linebacker. That's how, like, he's dense, man. I was like, man, who's that linebacker? He was actually with, now we doing name drops. He was actually with Julio Jones working out. And Julio looks like Julio Jones. Like, he's tall, buff, whatever. I was like, oh, man, he must be an Atlanta's, like, linebacker to be with. I was like, wait a minute. That's Earl Thomas? Like, he looked. I was like, that's a big dude. Like, I didn't realize how well he's put together. And that's how AJ Haulcy is put together. But the difference, or maybe not even the difference, he's that big, but he's more of a cover-based safety than I'm going to use my size safety, right? He got a lot of picks in college. And I think that's something that I'm always looking for safeties. Y'all know I want safeties to be able to cover. I know it's nice to be able to take people out. I know going across the middle, you want to put fear in people. I get all that stuff. I want my safety that I don't want to feel like they would Shaq say barbecue chicken when you have a center against a small guy in the paint. That's barbecue chicken because it's like an easy matchup. I don't want my safety to be like, oh, if we make you like flex out, you're immediately at a disadvantage and we're going to just go there with the ball. That's what I don't want as a defense because then that limits how much that player can play. And it also helps the offense dictate where they want you to be. We make you flex out. All of a sudden, we can just do some route on this side, run an option on it. Like, we can do so many things in coverage or so many things with our route tree because we know your safety is going to be occupied over on this side, and he can't do much more than that. I want a safety that, not that he's going to play like a cornerback. I think that's maybe asking too much. I think there's only a couple people who can do that, and even that is like not the best matchup. I want the safety to be able to do whatever he can do. I just want maximum versatility. I know that's asking too much, but I think in this day and age, outside of a specialist pass rusher, which some teams still have, like fourth down, third down, you bring this person in, all they do is rush the passer, but they're incompetent at stopping the run. Like, this is some of the criticism against Trey Hendrickson, that he's a really good pass rusher to get sacks, but he's not good against the run. And so someone like a Max Crosby was seen as a more valuable player because Max Crosby is awesome against the run and awesome at rushing the passer. If you can't stop the run, they said about Michael Parsons. If you can't stop the run, we're going to just run at you. Is Micah one of the best DNs in the league? Of course he is. He's tremendous. First team All-Pro multiple times, Hall of Fame trajectory. We know what Micah is. But we've seen you run at him, he's not nearly as effective. But you see Myles Garrett, you can't run at him, you can't run around him, you can't run away from him. He's going to get you. I like my safeties to be a version of that. Like, yes, I may be better in the box because I want to hit people. But I can also cover your tight end. I can also cover your running back. I can also blitz. I want my safety to be able to do all those things. Now, do you have to be ultra elite at all of them? No. right? If you did, fantastic. We got a diamond. It's like you can do all those things, but that's amazing. I need you to be competent in all of them and just not be a liability. I just don't need to be a liability. I don't need like we have you in coverage and you're just like holding and getting PIs all the time. And now we have to like try to cover for you by putting like maybe a chip in front of you as safe. Like I don't want to deal with having to try to protect you. The same thing is true of like an offensive lineman. Like if you need a running back to come in and chip for you because you can't handle the person that's rushing upfield, that's another second that running back's not in a route, which means your offense is like that's one less target effectively. If I got to stay in to try to get a little bit extra block and then leak out late, that extra half second to a second, the play can still be over. Like we know how fast pass rushes happen nowadays. But if you can do your job and our running back can just be out, that's an outlet. Read 1, 2, drop it off. But if you're doing chip or you're in there trying to block, you may not be where I need you to be. So now I got to go through 1, 2, all right, 4. And by the time it's just the way the league has changed now with how much spread concepts there are, how versatile his receivers are, how much motion there is. If you can't cover, you're dead to rights, right? We saw it last year for the Dolphins when they weren't able to cover in some games. It looked like you're helpless against the defense. And teams have basically decided if we know you have a really good cover guy on one side, we're just going to go to the other side. Like we have no issue just avoiding people. Back in the day, they were like, I'm going to challenge Darrelle Revis. That's dumb. Nowadays, they're like, well, most teams don't have 2 good corners. And I don't know any team that has 2 really good cover safeties other than maybe Houston. But even then, like I would rather throw at their safeties than their corners. like you put yourself in a great position, especially these are young guys. Like I imagine we're going to draft multiple safeties and multiple corners. Put them all in the room and see if we get another Dante Trader. Like when we drafted him as a 5th round pick, it was like, all right, this guy could be maybe a backup safety, special team starter. We'll see in a few years, maybe he can play. And if he's our starter next year and plays competently to good, that's the ideal situation. He's not really making any money for the next 3 years. We put somebody next to him who's going to be making slightly more money, but still not any real money. If you have 2 bona fide safeties, possibly 3, and no one's making money for 3 years, but they're doing their job well, I don't know how much better you can build your defense. We are Zach's under contract, Kendall's cheap. Like, Chop is still cheap, but whatever. If your covered guys are cheap and young, you can really fortify that front. I just think it gives us a lot of options to get the right safeties. I know Caleb Downs is the number 1 guy. Y'all know I haven't been as high on him. He's clearly to me the best safety. I'm not going to like knock his talent. I just think he's not elite at covering. He's really a box safety. And if I can get a box safety at pick 30, then I'd rather do that than to pick 11. But we will see. We have a lot of people in for visits. We have until the 15th to conduct all of our like in-person visits pre-draft. So there'll be more guys coming in. We'll cover them when we do. And we'll see if any of them start rising to the top. Because all this leakage about, yo, Dolphins really like so-and-so. I'm hearing so-and-so. This is not random. It's not random. It could be Dolphins putting out smoke screens to try to get teams to ask us to move up and trade into that first round pick at 30. And because I'm seeing rumors Miami want to trade out at the first round. So like, hey, we really like this guy. And they're like, oh man, if Miami drafts him, he won't be there for us in a second. Maybe we should trade with Miami at 30. This could be a ploy for Miami to just get an extra pick in the top 100, trade from pick 30 to maybe pick like 40, pick up another 3rd or 4th round pick. Like I can see them doing something like that. But they may actually just like these guys and just letting them know, hey, we got our eyes on you. And then, here come a couple weeks. We'll find out. But as always, y'all, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate the love and support. Thank y'all for the likes and the subscribes. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.